All right, it's Nussie time.
9 months finally.
I haven't shown you guys the Nussie in a while. It's time to do a Nussie.
So you're going to get a lot more money. I didn't vote for it, but you're going to get a lot more money.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Okay, I mean, it's whatever. It's like a good joke, I guess. Joseph Robinette Biden is doing remarks on the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. He delivered them earlier today. So we're going to get started. We are going to get started with that on the broadcast. We're going to talk about how the Taliban is overtaking every part of Afghanistan currently. Okay, aggressively. They are just, they're running Afghanistan now. Okay, let's listen to what he had to say.
Military drawdown in Afghanistan amid concerns the Taliban is already making large gains. Here's the president.
Briefed by our senior military and national security leaders on the status of the drawdown of U.S. forces.
Bro, this is dog shit. This audio is so bad. What the fuck?
Forces in Afghanistan. When I announced our drawdown in April, I said we would be out by September, and we're on track to meet that target. Excuse me.
He sounds like a leftist, dude.
Our military mission in Afghanistan will conclude on August 31st. The drawdown is proceeding in a secure and orderly way, prioritizing the safety of our troops as they depart. Our military commanders advised me that once I made the decision to end the war, we needed to move swiftly to conduct the main elements of the drawdown. And in this context, speed is safety. And thanks to the way in which we have managed our withdrawal, no one U.S. forces or any forces have been lost. Conducting our drawdown differently would have certainly come with an increased risk of safety to our personnel. To me, those risks were unacceptable. And there was never any doubt that our military performed this task efficiently and with the highest level of professionalism. That's what they do. And the same is true of our NATO allies and partners who have supported, we are supporting and supporting us as well as they conclude their grade. I want to be clear, the U.S. military mission in Afghanistan continues through the end of August. We retain personnel and capacities in the country, and we maintain some authority, the same authority under which we've been operating.
Okay, I don't care. Yeah. We're pulling out. We're doing a full pullout, boys. We're pulling out super hard. Pulling out harder than I pulled out of your mom last night. Okay, got him.
Let's go.
He starts taking questions at 13:50. Let's take a look at what he has to say.
Because of the country. We're ending America's longest war. But we'll always honor the bravery of the American patriots who served in it. May God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
God protect our troops.
Thank you.
Mr. President, do you trust the Taliban,
Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well-equipped as any army in the world, and an Air Force, against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
Do you trust the Taliban, Mr. President? Do you trust the Taliban, sir?
Is that a serious question?
It's absolutely a serious question. Do you trust the Taliban?
No, I do not.
Country to the Taliban.
No, I do not trust the Taliban.
This is a serious question, Mr. President. Do you trust the Taliban? What the fuck? What? Damn, you really got him with that one, dude. Yeah, he's gonna be like, yeah, Jack, back in my day, we used to trust the Taliban. Good guys, I used to say. Very good.
Okay.
Little misunderstood, you know?
So why are you Mr. President, will you amplify that question, please? Will you amplify your answer, please, why you don't trust the Taliban?
It's a silly question. Do I trust the Taliban? No. But I trust the capacity of the...
My man said Taliban. That sounds like some fucking Danish lollipop, dude. The Taliban. Tolllybon. Oh, I love the Taliban. The bonbons, yeah, very good.
Afghan military, who is better trained, better equipped, and more competent in terms of conducting war. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Given the amount of
I saw you meant to say it. Shut the fuck up, bitch. I know. Taliban.
money that has been spent and the number of
But in English, you pronounce the words with an English pronunciation, so it sounds funny when he's trying.
lives that have been lost, in your view, with making this decision, were the
How did the Taliban gain so much power in so little time? Let's think. Maybe there was an enemy.
Pogo.
Maybe there was a common enemy that, no matter how much their numbers were purged, allowed them to have a just cause
Poop had
that
Hasanabi.
consistently improved the numbers in their ranks. What I mean by that is America legitimized the Taliban. The Taliban.
last 20 years worth it?
You know my record. I can tell by the way you asked the question. I opposed permanently having American forces in Afghanistan. I argued from the beginning, as you may recall. It came to light after
Forgot to
the administration
by the top of the
was
fucking
over.
hour
It
ad
lasted
forgot.
our administration. No nation has ever unified Afghanistan.
So you think the American troops should stay there? No. We should have pulled out like fucking 20. We should have never been there to begin with. And we should have immediately pulled out.
No nation.
Kappa.
Empires have gone there and not done it. The focus we had, and I strongly supported, and you may remember, I physically went to Afghanistan. I was up in that pass where Osama
The Kurds would disagree with you. I mean, okay. So do the Israelis, like, half the time when it comes to American intervention in the region. Does that mean it's justifiable or honorable? I don't give a fuck. Does that mean it's good? Oh, shit, dude. Oh, man, the Kurds agree with American intervention in the region? Fuck, dude. Oh, no, I guess you owned me, dude. Thank you for your incredible point.
bin Laden was allegedly escaped or out of harm's way. We went for two reasons. One, to bring Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell. As I said.
Oh, he loved that one. Bro, what the fuck, dude? It was like he's just fucking, he had to reset, dude. What is that?
Out of harm's way. We went for two reasons. One, to
It's the second closest thing to
Get it out, Grandpa.
Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell.
Look how happy he is. He's like, I just delivered the fuck out of that line. He was just loading, bro. It's not a big deal. He was just loading it up, okay? It went there to deliver Osama bin Laden to the gates of hell. Meanwhile, my man was just jerking off to hentai, playing Nintendo 64, like over the border at like right next to the Pakistani military academy, you know, in his fucking compound, just slaying, okay? He was just chilling, dude. He was just chilling. It's a really cool justification to invade a country. And you're like, yeah, well, you know, they're just not giving up Osama bin Laden, so we're just gonna literally do full-blown boots on the ground military warfare for 20 fucking years, dude. Solid. Real question, how would we have delivered retribution to Al-Qaeda for taking down the towers? War? Sanctions? I don't know. Do like fucking targeted like why do you have a SEAL Team 6? Just do targeted fucking assassinations if you want. Okay? There you go. That's the max I'll go to. But even then it doesn't matter because it's like definitely don't go into Afghanistan and definitely don't go into Iraq, obviously, which we agree now, luckily. Taliban had nothing to do with the attacks. I know. I'm not talking about the Taliban. I'm talking about. That's why Chatter said Al Qaeda and not the Taliban. At the very least, what we could do is maybe learn from our mistakes. It's not even history at this point. It's present, right? Like, these things did not happen 100 or 200 years ago. These things happened in the last like 20, 30, 40 fucking years, where the people that we armed ended up, creating different factions and then justifiably pushing back on what they consider to be American involvement in the region and destabilization in the region. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, we literally armed them, trained them, then we're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're fucking pushing back and fighting back. Much like that, yeah, much like the racist guy in New Jersey. It's like, it's so fucking good. It's so good. Oh, fuck yeah, we're sowing pretty hard right now. And then when it comes to the reaping, you're like, oh, shit. I like that at no moment, okay, at no moment were we like, maybe we should, I don't know, tackle the source of the problem.
We trusted the Taliban to kick the damn Soviets out.
Like, should we tackle the source of the problems? Nah, fuck it. Let's just invade Afghanistan. Like, where these dudes are Saudi nationalists, okay? We know that Wahhabists are basically creating madrasas that are like breeding extremism and radicalizing people. Instead of dealing with any of that through maybe even sanctions and whatnot, we decided, fuck it, dude. Let's go into Afghanistan. Let's create more, war babies so that they'll turn around and then join the Taliban. You mean schools? Yes. Also, who was funding and facilitating that radicalization while also simultaneously we were justifying their cause? We were making their cause honorable and legitimate in the eyes of many people who were destroyed and devastated by war. Oh, who could that be? Our greatest ally, Saudi Arabia. So what the fuck? But yeah, don't deal with that. Don't do anything about that. We should just fucking, continue doing what we've been doing.
Coming home.
As I said at the time, the second reason was to eliminate Al Qaeda's capacity to deal with more attacks in the United States from that territory. We accomplished both of those objectives, period. That's what I believed from the beginning, why we should be and why we should have gone.
Proletary. And now it's Turkey that supports extremism all over the Middle East together with Qatar. Khashoggi was a gun runner for Taliban and Al Qaeda hiding in Turkey. Saudis on the right side after MSB? What? Don't you write for The Atlantic or something? Like, what are you doing in here, dude? My man's in here doing fucking propaganda for the kingdom. Hell yeah, dude. He writes for The Atlantic? No, I'm making a joke about how The Atlantic were big supporters of MBS.
To Afghanistan. That job had been over for some time. And that's why I believe that this is the right decision and, quite frankly, overdue.
Oh my God, dude. They're fucking cackling like hyenas in there. For the first time ever, they're like, we have an opportunity to fucking hit the president from a reactionary point of view, which the media loves. Like, they love. Let me tell you something. There is nothing that these cackling hyenas in the DC fucking press class love more than being like, I am more right-wing than you. Like, oh, I know conservatives constantly say, liberal media, this, that. I am literally more right-wing than you. I will actually ask you the most reactionary shit. Mr. President, when will you finally assassinate an Afghan child on TV? Otherwise, how will we ever know you truly support America? It's like, oh, fuck. Finally, dude. Finally, fuck. I have more questions too after that. It's like, once we're down to the Afghan assassination, will you also murder an immigrant child in one of your detention facilities that's, by the way, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, that currently are getting treated like they're fucking political prisoners in Guantanamo Bay. Otherwise, how will we know you're dealing with the immigration crisis at the border? Mr. President, what are you going to do about, crime occurring and gun violence, which we are losing our fucking minds about?
Help me somehow, I got Hunter Biden's
It's like the media loves being reactionary as fuck, dude. They love that shit.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, thank you very much. Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
So what is the level of confidence that they have that it will not collapse?
The Afghan government and leadership has to come together.
Bro, what he has to say is like, listen, we fucked shit up. Okay? I've criticized it, Jack, for many years. Okay? It's time to right those wrongs, Jack. We can't be holding every country's hands, Jack. And by that, I mean, like, literally engage in active conflict for years and years and years on end. Like, just fucking say it's... Yeah, M-HUD is right. Just fucking say, none of my business, Jack. Like, why? According to you, how could have America done now other than withdrawing troops, though? I don't have a problem with fucking withdrawing troops. I am a supporter of withdrawing troops from Afghanistan and every other part of the world that America currently has troops in. I think it's a great idea. We should definitely do that. Okay? Like, we already fucked it up. Offer reparations, okay? Offer reparations, unconditional reparations to the many families whose loved ones you've murdered. Not in the form of, like, giving bags of cash to some fucking pedophile warlord, okay, in the Karengal Valley. But I mean, like, literally offer reparations directly. If you want to spend the same amount of money that you've been spending on the war machine running in Afghanistan, spend that same amount of money on, Afghan infrastructure and pull the fuck out. It's fucked. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's not fucked. It's gonna be fucked.
Chat, I have Hunter Biden's
Afghanistan is completely
fucked. How do I
fucked.
print out photos
Okay?
in landscape mode? I need to print out something that is longer than 8.5 inches. Thanks.
What about our economy? What do you mean, what about our economy, you fucking idiot? What do you mean, what about our economy? What about it? What does this have to do with hurting our economy? You know what? You're right. What about our economy? We should actually, at gunpoint, enslave every Afghan person and then subjugate them and force them into working in the little mines that we've created because it's a natural resource rich environment there. And we should do that we should do that forever, actually. It would help our economy. Sorry. Fuck morality, dude. It's literally our economy. What are we going to do about that?
They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government in place. The question is, will they generate the kind of cohesion to do it? It's not a question of whether they have the capacity. They have the capacity. They have the forces. They have the equipment. The question is, will they do it? And I want to make clear what I made clear to Ghani, that we are not going to walk away and not sustain their ability to maintain that force. We are.
I think Chad just meant invest in our economy instead of infrastructure somewhere else. I mean, are you silly? Are you new here? Yeah, I think we should invest in our economy. Part of us investing in our economy, okay,
has
stems from at least, pulling the reins on our never-ending, massively inflated military-industrial complex. Okay? So, pulling out of Afghanistan is technically a good thing. It's a positive for fixing the domestic policies in America as well. You understand? I don't like that we have just like this imperialist vassal state that we have colonized in perpetuity in the middle of the Middle East that we just have to keep sending troops over to. I don't like that for moral reasons. I don't like that for economic reasons. I don't like it at all. I think that it should not happen. And you know, maybe we can make a better argument now to reinvest in our own problems domestically in the United States, which I don't really have a lot of, I don't really believe that that's going to happen, but it would be nice.
We're going to also work to make sure we help them in terms of everything from food necessities and other things in the region. But there is not a conclusion that, in fact, they cannot defeat the Taliban. I believe the only way there's going to be, this is now Joe Biden, not the intelligence community, the only way there's ultimately going to be peace and security in Afghanistan is that they work out a modus vivendi with the Taliban and they make a judgment as to how they can make peace. And the likelihood there's going to be one unified government in Afghanistan controlling the whole country is highly unlikely.
Mr. President, thank you. But we have talked to your own top general in Afghanistan, General Scott Miller. He told ABC News the conditions are so concerning at this point that it could result in a civil war. So if Kabul falls to the Taliban, what will the United States do about it?
Look, you've said two things. One, that if it could result in a civil war, that's different than the Taliban succeeding, number one. Number two, the question of what will be done is going to be implicated, it's going to implicate the entire region as well. There's a number of countries that have a grave concern about what's going to happen in Afghanistan relative to their security. The question is, how much of a threat to the United States of America and to our allies is whatever results in terms of a government or an agreement. That's when that judgment will be made.
So the funny, he's right, okay? How much of a threat is this to the United States? From the point of view of like national security, the Taliban taking over Afghanistan, like how much is it a fucking threat? It's not a threat, okay? It's literally not a threat at all. Now, if they were to turn around and be like, oh, well, what about all the people in Afghanistan that are going to be fucking brutalized by this oppressive, fundamentalist, Islamist regime that is now going to destroy the country even further? Okay. The solution to that isn't continuously continuing the occupation and invasion of Afghanistan, though. Because if you ask the people of Afghanistan throughout the invasion, they would have told you, and they did tell you, that they wanted America to fucking pull out. A foreign nation invading their country, invading their fucking soil, and killing their loved ones is not the way to deal with the Taliban. It's just not. As a matter of fact, it made it so much worse. It made a progressive counterweight to exist infinitely harder. Why? Because it legitimized the Taliban as freedom fighters. When your infrastructure is blown to fucking bits, when you can't go to school, okay? And then also on top of that, your fucking family members have been murdered by these like sky bombs.
Hasanabi 2024.
Sent by
2024.
These sky bombs sent by America, this invading force. Well, you have no other options for your future. You're going to go and fucking take arms and fight back.
Mr. President, some Vietnamese veterans see echoes of their experience in this withdrawal in Afghanistan. Do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam, with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. Zero. What you had entire brigades breaking through the gates of our embassy. 6, if I'm not mistaken. The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army. They're not remotely comparable in terms of capability. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of a embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. It is not at all comparable.
And Mr. President,
go to the other side. Hang on a second.
Mr. President, how serious?
Just an endless sequence of fucking failures and piles of bodies that we've left along the way. That is the American history of that's the history of American foreign policy right there. This is our legacy. Comparing one cataclysmic failure to another in order to justify the continuation of the other cataclysmic failure, the catastrophic failure. Incredible stuff, dude. I love our news media. It's so good. To be fair, when Donald Trump said he was going to pull out of Afghanistan, these motherfuckers were reacting in the same way too. Okay? They were reacting in a similar capacity. They were like, "What the fuck? You can't do that. You can't do that. What are you doing? You can't do that." And they're doing it to Joe Biden as well, because there are capital owners and the interests of certain mega corporations that they place over party loyalty that Republicans and Democratic pundits act like exists in the media class. And that loyalty is still to capital. That loyalty is still to the military-industrial complex and their goals.
How serious was the corruption among the Afghanistan government to this mission failing there?
Well, first of all, the mission hasn't failed yet. There is, in Afghanistan...
Part of me does wonder what Afghanistan would look like as a Chinese vassal state. Like, I don't know if it would be super bad. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, it probably would be a better position comparable to what their situation is currently. Same thing as the Uyghurs bet? No, dude. What are you, crazy? No. The Uyghurs are being locked up in concentration camps and under mass surveillance 24/7 for a specific reason, okay? It's forcible indoctrination into the like Han Chinese culture and like that's a domestic policy. That's in Chinese borders. That's entirely different than their foreign policy. Why would any nation try to occupy Afghanistan at this point? Is the dumbest move possible. Resource rich. That's pretty much it, actually. It is really stupid, though. I agree. It's literally it's fucking the graveyard of empires. That region is the graveyard of empires in its entirety. And it's our graveyard as well. This empire is literally falling apart as a consequence of the same thing that every single fucking empire before it has tried to do. Also, on top of that, we should definitely fucking offer citizenship to every Afghan interpreter. Like every single one. It is, and their family members. It is so insanely fucked up. I know it's a tiny, minuscule part of this, but the fact that we have placed these people in such a compromised position where they're absolutely going to get fucking raped and murdered, like 1,000%. The fact that we're not doing that is gross. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, you literally... Like, however many people that funded, facilitated, and helped the U.S. Armed Forces in Afghanistan, every single one of them should be getting American citizenship, like, immediately.
In all parties, there's been corruption. The question is, can there be an agreement on unity of purpose? What is the objective? For example, it started off, there were going to be negotiations between the Taliban and the Afghan National Security Forces and the Afghan government. That
people will literally turn around and be like, "That's unacceptable. I can't believe we're negotiating or allowing Afghanistan to negotiate with terrorists." It's like, dog, how the fuck do you think, like, how do you think politics works? Not even just over there, but like even here in America. This is why I always say, like, I don't have a baby-like point of view that is like pure humanitarian over politics, right? Politics is the distribution of power. That's literally all it is. And violence is power. Politics, in many ways, is the distribution of violence. Who is enacting violence? It is a constant in politics. And whether you can make it sound like it is a justifiable use of force and a justifiable use of violence. So what that means by that, what I mean by that is these terror cells that engage in acts of violence that you consider to be gruesome eventually become legitimate entities that you have to deal with. It's just how it works. Either you completely eradicate them, which the United States tried and failed to do so, or you deal with them. You let them slowly but surely take control, which the United States did with its actions, because its actions made the Taliban stronger than before as a consequence of creating this like justifiable recruitment strategy for them. So now you have to deal with it. You made the bed. Now you have to live in it.
That
strong as it's ever been, it's still weak as shit. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's fucking still. It's still a force that the Afghan government has to reckon with.
That didn't come to fruition. So the question now is, where do they go from here?
Politics is war without bloodshed, while war is politics without bloodshed. Yeah, no, I wasn't using the Mao quote. I'm just saying that my worldview is that politics is about a distribution of power and violence. But yes, it's a good quote. It's true.
That the jury is still out. But the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely. Yes.
Would you say it's similar to Israel legitimizing Hamas? Yes. Hamas has a legitimate a political entity that is separate from its militant wing. Yeah. The entirety of the Gaza region, the Gaza Strip, is literally controlled by Hamas. Hamas is a political party. So yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Will the United States be responsible for the loss of Afghan civilian lives that could happen after the military exit?
No. It's up to the people of Afghanistan to decide on what government they want, not us to impose the government on them. No countries.
I cannot believe he's like right. Like it blows my mind that he's literally unironically correct on this. He's so fucking right on this. He's actually completely correct on this, and even using the right words to describe it in many ways that Donald Trump would not be able to use.
He's ever been able to do that. Keep in mind, as a student of history, as I'm sure you are, never has Afghanistan been a united country. Not in all of its history. Not in all of its history.
If this isn't a mission accomplished moment, what is it?
No, there's no mission accomplished. The mission was accomplished in that we got Osama bin Laden, and terrorism is not emanating from that part of the world.
Safety, as you just said in your remarks, are you satisfied with the timeline of relocating Afghan nationals? Is it happening quickly enough to your satisfaction, if it may not happen until next month at the end?
Well, much of it's already happened. There's already been people, about 1,000 people have gotten on aircraft and come to the United States already on commercial aircraft. So as I said, there's over 2,500 people that, as from January to now, have gotten those visas, and only half decided that they wanted to leave. The point is that I think the whole process has to be speeded up, period, in terms of being able to get these visas.
Why can't the U.S. evacuate these Afghan translators to the United States to await their visa processing, as some immigrants at the southern border have been allowed to do?
Because the law doesn't allow that to happen. And that's why we're asking the Congress to consider changing the law.
I mean, to be fair, we literally fucking deport like veterans. We deport veterans that are immigrants. You know what I mean? So, like, we deport veterans that have lived on U.S. soil, that fought in the American Armed Forces, that come back and think they're going to get citizenship, and we fucking deport them. So, like, the fuck? Why? Is they're not American, brother? That's why. What the fuck do you mean? Is they're not American? Get the Should have been a born and bred American, corn-fed Kansas boy that fucking went out and died out there and got blown to bits rather than some immigrant.
But in the meantime, we can guarantee their safety if they wish to leave by taking them to third countries and or while the wait is taking place to come to...
Yeah, even in fucking Starship Troopers, service guaranteed citizenship, dude. Starship Troopers, which is basically a
Can I get
take like a satirical dark approach to like what Western specifically American like militant fascism looks like, had a more ethical approach to immigration with respect to service than we actually do here in the United States of America.
And hopefully while they're waiting there, to be able to bring them back to the United States if that's what they choose to do.
Any message, good message for Afghan women in future, because they have achievement, they are really concerned about their achievement.
They are very concerned.
He's about to be like, yo, fuck those women, but he's literally gonna...
With good reason.
Yes.
When I was in...
They should be concerned, Jack. But if they're concerned, all they need to do is put on some red lipstick, Jack. Give me a big kiss on the cheek. Back in my day, that's what we used to do. Asking Biden about what's going to happen to the women. Not even like America, but like women in Afghanistan. Let's see where this goes. Okay. I'll sniff their hairs, Jack.
Afghanistan, I've been there a number of times. I remember being in a school outside, and by the way, the schools in Afghanistan are not fundamentally unlike schools on the West Coast, where they have, you know, an area in the middle that is sort of like looks like a playground, and single-story buildings connected around it. And I remember saying speaking to a group of young women, I guess they're roughly, don't hold me to this, they look like they'd be 14, 15 years old. And they're in school, and there's a tiered classroom with single light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, as I know you know. And I said, you know, the United States came here to make sure that we got this terrorist Osama bin Laden, and that terrorist didn't amass again to go after our country. And then we're going to have to leave. And the young woman said, you can't leave. You can't leave. It was heartbreaking. You can't leave. She said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. If you leave, I'll never be able to be a doctor. Well, that's why we spent so much time and money training the Afghans.
He's like, we're waiting. That's why we waited until she got her medical degree, and now we're leaving. 4K followers away from 800K on Twitter, Pog. Thank you. That's why we waited, Jack. Now we're leaving.
And security forces to do the work of defending it.
You about to sign up to protect Kabul airport for the Vatan? Yeah, dude.
If every work... Well, anyway, so, yes, I'm aware. I'm going to take one more question.
You've been listening to President Biden updating Americans on the U.S. withdrawal of its troops from Afghanistan. The president taking questions from reporters, also announcing an accelerated timeline for that withdrawal, saying the U.S. military mission in that country would now end before 9/11, the anniversary.
Dude, it's just like, it's such a fucking ridiculous take that, like, this notion that we were in Afghanistan to defend the women is so psychotic. I don't know what to tell you. Like, as a Kurd, I'm fucking terrified the U.S. will leave Iraq and fuck us over like the Afghans. Dude, they literally handed over Afghanistan to the Taliban. Okay, bro, listen. As a Kurd, you already know that the U.S. is going to fuck you, as they have over and over again. Like, literally every Kurd knows this. I don't know why fucking you come in here and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, our allegiance with the United States was just a fickle one where they fucking used and abused us like a weapon to wield against whoever the fuck they consider to be their enemy at the moment. And now they're just going to leave us behind, pissing in the fucking wind. Like, when has the American military or American foreign policy ever been consistent on Kurdish liberation? You knew that it was going to happen, like literally always. The idea that America's a world leader in women's rights is insane. Yeah, we don't even have maternity leave here. True. It's like, yeah, women's rights. America's champion of women's rights, dude. America's such a champion of women's rights that, like, the fucking Afghan military that they were training were just like fucking raping women and boys and shit. It's not a big deal. It's just like doing some real girl boss shit out there, dude. Real girl boss shit. Honestly, I'm more surprised the Kurds haven't been fucked over as hard as they could have been. The Taliban will impose Islamic religious police, punish women who break Sharia. Serious issue. It is a serious issue. And the way to deal with said serious issue should be through active and, in oftentimes, potentially, militant involvement by Afghan citizens. Okay? That's how you fucking deal with it. Like, there is no world in which you're just like, yeah, sorry, like the Taliban is going to do Sharia law or whatever kind of fucked up version that they consider to be like the way to do Sharia law is. Like, the way to deal with that isn't by consistently just continuing the occupation. They need to fight for themselves? Yes. And the best way to literally help them fight for themselves is by fucking pulling out, so you don't justify like a recruitment pipeline to the Taliban, which we have done for the past 20 years. Like, think about it. The most powerful military in the world, and they couldn't even fucking successfully eradicate the Taliban. Just think about that for a second. Like, how did they keep reinforcing their numbers, dude? Just pontificate. Just let that thought swirl in your head. Why do you think the Taliban kept increasing their fucking numbers despite constantly fighting the most powerful military on the fucking planet? A mystery. An absolute mystery, dude. What could it be? Perhaps it was a justification. Perhaps it made the Taliban's cause look just and honest. That they were the liberators. At least they fucking look and sound and come from the same background as the other motherfucker whose family just got blown to bits. The reality is this. The people of Afghanistan, the women of Afghanistan, the men of Afghanistan deserve their own autonomy. They deserve to liberate themselves. We have never given them that opportunity. All we do whenever we invade a country is set up our own fucking corrupt-ass, puppet-ass administrations that continue that same cycle of violence and oppression and subjugation on their own people. Okay? You have to allow people to self-liberate. And the inverse of it is also true, which is that our routine bombing and endless occupation is actually the reason. Our routine bombing and endless occupation is actually the fucking reason why, militant groups that are fundamentalists like the Taliban can gain momentum. And I keep describing it over and over again. Anyway, now we're going to talk about our most important news story of the day. Being a small government conservative that is worried about the gross expansion of the nanny state implies a number of different things, like jailing women that get abortions, jailing doctors that facilitate said abortions, jailing teachers that teach critical race theory or whatever you consider is critical race theory. Another fundamental American idea, a principle, that was a God-given right offered to us by the Constitution, which was written by demigods themselves, is putting body cameras in schools. Putting body cameras on teachers so we make sure that they are not teaching inappropriate things to our children. I'm Tucker Carlson, and tonight we cover the most important news story that is overtaking America right now.
A pretty obvious suggestion on the show last night. Why don't we have civilian review boards for our schools? It's not like schools aren't important. They're maybe the most important thing we pay for. In a lot of places, they're the main thing we pay for. They're the biggest budget item in most towns, schools.
Can I get a
We're educating our children to become adults and run the country that they're inheriting. So why don't we know what's happening in the classrooms? Why don't we have cameras in every classroom? Again, it's obvious. We have cameras monitoring Congress, city council meetings. Our police officers are required to wear cameras.
The fact that people don't
What's the argument against that? So why shouldn't we have cameras in the classroom? And now more than ever. It used to be we just trusted what they were teaching our kids. Now we know a lot of them are demented and they're teaching poison. The biggest teachers union in the country just came out in support of racist struggle session in kindergarten. Meanwhile, the video we do have is not reassuring at all. Over the past year, you've seen all kinds of cell phone footage with teachers saying shocking things, berating vaccinated students, for example, for not wearing their obedience masks. Watch.
I don't care if you're vaccinated, you little dink.
Okay.
I don't want to get sick and die.
Okay.
There's other people you can infect just because you're vaccinated. You know what? You're not a special person around here. You should hear about how everybody talks about you. You're a jerk.
Talk to me. I don't care how people
You're
talk
a
about
jerk.
Yeah,
That's so funny, dude. Tucker Carlson justifying Tucker Carlson justifying the use of body cameras on teachers by showing an example that is uncommon or even could be like literally deserved, okay? But then when we talk about body cameras on cops in an effort to scale back on like the police brutality that is a basic function of the police force, like, oh, I don't know about that. I gotta watch that. I gotta rewatch what she did. I have no idea what she did. It was
for example, for not wearing their obedience masks. Watch.
I don't care if you're vaccinated, you little dink.
I should say, you little dink.
I don't want to get sick and die.
Okay.
There's other people you can infect just because you're vaccinated. You know what? You're not a special person around here. You should hear about how everybody talks about you. You're a jerk.
You're a jerk. I bet he's a fucking jerk. I bet he's a little dink, dude. Okay? I'll say it. Nah, the teacher's being a little abusive there, okay? She's going balls to the wall there, for sure. Dude, teachers put up with so much shit, dude. You're not gonna get me to talk shit about teachers, okay? I'm not. It's not happening. Like, they are they put up with our fucking dumbasses nonstop. I know all the young folk in this chat, all the Zoomers are probably like upset at me for saying this, because when you are a student, you literally think your teachers are demons and they are devils, and some of them are fucking douchebags, okay? There are a lot of bad teachers out there, don't get me wrong. But ultimately, like, they're getting paid incredibly low wages to educate the youth of America and put up with actual little dinks like this kid, okay? It's just like, I certainly developed an appreciation for teachers after I graduated from high school. I will let you know. Like, when I was in high school, I was like, fuck, these teachers suck, dude. I hate them. That's why I always say, like, young folk have an anarchist slant to them, like, where a teacher is a form of authority, an unjustifiable hierarchy placed upon you. It's unacceptable. I get it. You will grow and you will learn to appreciate your teachers, especially because they put up with a lot of shit, dude. I mean, I say this as someone who, like, you know, went to school in Turkey. Like, we used to do Our teachers used to make us do insane shit, like completely unacceptable in America. Push-ups, pull your fucking ear, you know, beat your fucking hand with a ruler, make you do this, like corporal punishment, all sorts of shit.
I don't care how people.
You're a jerk.
Yeah, that's totally normal. So why don't we know what's going on in classrooms? Well, again, last night we suggested, what's the answer? Why shouldn't we? And not surprising.
The irony is his wife is like an ex-teacher, by the way. Like, he's literally married to a teacher.
A lot of people were very offended by this. You don't have a right to know. Shut up and send your kids. Don't ask questions about what they're learning about, what kind of people they're becoming. Matt Walsh hosts the Matt Walsh Show. He's one of the wise ones. We want to ask his view of this. Matt Walsh, thanks so much for coming on tonight. This is one of these things that someone suggested to me in conversation yesterday morning. I wish I'd thought of it myself. Maybe people have been talking about it. I didn't know. The second I heard it, I thought, well, that's the most obvious thing I've ever.
I am in favor of making sure that our teachers are adequately trained and well paid and happy. Happy workers lead to better, more productive outcomes. I am not, however, in favor of putting body cameras on them because I'm not a fucking libertarian creep. What Tucker Carlson is doing here is, once again, engaging in like Fox News style advocacy for homeschooling by trying to create panic and fear in the minds of America's brain dead conservatives that watch him. To be fearful that like their teachers are indoctrinating the youth. It's a very old conservative idea. They always have done that.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that, I guess? Let me ask you that question.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I have to admit that the reform I would prefer for the public school system is to just destroy it, you know, reform it with a wrecking ball. I don't think it should exist at all. But if it's going to exist...
Matt Walsh doesn't think the public school system should exist. Incredible takes.
Then it makes total sense that obviously we should want to know what our kids are being taught when they're in these government buildings. Maybe I think there are a lot of parents who don't want to confront or acknowledge what exactly they're doing when they send their kid to public school. You're sending them to a government building for 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, 9 months a year for 12 years. That's what's happening. You should want to know what is going on, what's going on inside that building when they're there all that time. Now, I think there's...
Yeah, what are they doing? Huh? The fuck are they doing? Teaching our children? One could say teaching is like fucking. A fucking of the brain. We need to stop it. We need to stop teachers from penetrating the brains of our children. Okay? Isn't this guy literally a Catholic? Or no, he's an evangelical, right? I don't actually know. Matt Walsh, he says he's a theocratic fascist. Oh yeah, he is Catholic. You know he knows a thing or two about pedophilia. You know what I'm saying? Yo, why don't we put body cams on fucking Catholic priests, dude? How about that? I mean, he's a libertarian and he's Catholic. This is a double whammy. I'm sorry.
Play starting in 3 minutes at Hasanabi.
Obviously, not all Catholics.
There's the real reason why the left doesn't want this, and then there's the reason that they give us, which of course oftentimes are two different things. The reason they give us is that it's a privacy concern, or it's even a free speech concern. But first of all, teachers as government employees in their capacity as government employees working with kids, they shouldn't get privacy or free speech any more than I want, you know, a bank teller if I'm making a...
Wait, what? Teachers as a government employee shouldn't get free speech? What? Dude, this is the funniest thing about like fascists. They will very openly admit that like free speech is only something that we use to get fucking dumbass liberals on our side. Like, oh, what about diversity of opinion? The moment that we're going to get any power, we're going to fucking abolish that notion. And conservatives do that anyway. Like, they very openly do that. They're like, free speech, I hate cancel culture. And then they fucking have been losing their goddamn minds over CRT. They're teaching our children that, black people did not like being enslaved. did not like being enslaved. I hate that. Even when conservatives were talking about how much they hated cancel culture, the number one book burnings were still, or book cancellations were still not like fucking Dr. Seuss, okay? It was LGBT focused books.
A deposit of a lot of cash. I don't want them to turn the cameras off and go into a back room and say, oh, I need some privacy while I do this. No, we don't want privacy in your capacity handling money. You send your dog to a dog boarder.
Hasan pausing out of context classic. What? That's not out of context, you fucking
They've got
dingus.
webcams now so you can check in anytime. So why wouldn't we want that kind of oversight with kids? And I think the real reason, aside from the reason they give us, the real reason is that
body cameras on police, unironically, do raise a lot of privacy concerns, for the record. Like, there are reasonable counters to body cameras. Like, there are very reasonable and criticisms you can make about body cameras, okay? One of which is the privacy concerns. Now, in that circumstance, given what cops do and given what cops have done historically and still continue to do to this day, the benefits of body cameras is supposed to outweigh the negative consequences of the invasion of privacy or the misuse of body camera footage. With teachers using body cameras or teachers having body cameras strapped to them at all points in time while they're teaching little kids is psychotic. There's no benefit to it, and it's all just fucking gross invasion of privacy.
they don't want us to know what goes on inside that building.
Well, but
and they don't think, as you said, we have a right to know.
I mean, look, let's be totally blunt here. I mean, most teachers are great. I'm married to a former teacher. I'm not against teachers, but some teachers are creepy. And we know that because they want to talk to other people's prepubescent kids about sex in pretty detailed ways. You're a creep if you do that. I mean, let's just be totally clear about it. So anyone who'd want to talk to like a third grader about sex practices, don't you think we need to have a camera on that person?
10 months
yeah, and that's another thing where that shouldn't be happening at all, even with a camera.
I agree.
But it does happen, and so we should have that kind of oversight. I think if there's anything, you just think of it like this: is there anything that could happen inside?
Dude, this is so gross. This is so gross and so creepy that you fucking sick freaks want to watch children learn about sex ed. Just say you're a fucking libertarian and move on, dude. We get it.
Tucker.
You're using too many words to describe that you're a fucking pedophile, okay? Use less words. Just say that you're a pedophile and move on, okay? It is incredibly fucking weird to just be like, what we need to do is like, well, teachers might be creepy with our children. We have to watch them, educate kids about sex ed. I wish sex ed was not just like abstinence-only education in certain places and like children were actually learning about sexual education. You know, in places that they do, the teenage pregnancy rate is a little bit lower. There's also a correlation with places that have that, states that have that also, you know, have more accessible reproductive health resources. But, what the fuck do I know? I mean, these motherfuckers unironically are just like, don't teach children about the biological composition of children or adults, or just don't teach children about sex ed. It's gross. It's such a fucking Neanderthal caveman take, dude.
Public school classroom.
We're gonna get to the PlayStation State of Play in a second.
Would not want on film, and if you can think of something that could happen like that, it shouldn't be happening in the classroom to begin with. Whatever's happening there should be open for anyone to see, or at least you could have the cameras in there, and parents who have custody of children could have they could be password protected,
Exactly.
and they could have the password access. There are many ways of doing this that make a lot of sense, I think.
But your point.
People get mad at sex ed because your parents just want to fucking lie to you about masturbation. Okay? If you got some freak ass fucking parents that think that like masturbation is a sin, they want to impose that kind of puritanical psychopathic ideology on to your children and like fuck you up. Okay? That's it. That's the reason why these motherfuckers are mad, because like another adult in a position of authority is going to be like, actually, that's fucking wrong. Your parents are delusional and stupid. Okay? That's what the fuck they're mad about.
Point is the best point, and I wish I'd said it. If there's something happening in a public school that shouldn't be on film, it shouldn't be happening in the first place. And it's kind of an unassailable point of reasoning, and I appreciate it. Matt Walsh, thank you.
What? Yes. I'm brilliant, by the way. Children should not poop in public schools because you can't film that. It should not happen. Good take. Yeah, we need to stop children from using the bathroom in schools, I think. No peeing, no poo-poo, no pee-pee. You're done. Shouldn't happen because you can't film it. Everything that happens in a public school should be something you can film and watch and review.